You know how everyone says building habits is hard? It actually doesn't need to be. Your habits can become so easy that it is basically impossible for you not to stick to them. You just have to know how to set them up. Today I'm going to be going through 20 stupidly simple and a little bit unexpected ways that you can make your habits literally impossible not to stick to. This is going to become your new autopilot, and it's going to be so easy for you to follow through long term, okay? Let's get into this. Welcome to the Mindset Gym podcast, where we exercise your way of thinking to help unlock your hidden potential. I'm your host, Emily Irwin, a registered nurse and holistic nutritionist with a passion for all things health, fitness, and personal development. All right, let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to the Mindset Gym podcast. Welcome back to Car Talk. Let's get into habits today. We're going to be talking about some strategies to make your habits so insanely simple for you to follow through on. It's going to remove so much of that friction that gets in our way and stops us from following through. Because I think anybody listening can probably relate to a time where there's been a new habit that you are trying to implement or a bad habit that you're trying to break, and sticking to that routine has felt really difficult, and you've ended up falling off the wagon or throwing in the towel or whatever kind of verbiage you want to use. At some point, you fucking quit because it's just too hard. So let's dive into 20 ways to make it way more simple for you to actually follow through on your habits. All right, number 1, I want you to put the thing in your way. And what I mean by this is I want you to take whatever tools you need in order to complete this habit and literally put them in your path, put them in your way, so there is no way for you to ignore the fact that this habit needs to be done. So what can this look like? This could look like you putting your journal on your pillow. So when you go to bed, you literally can't fall asleep without moving that journal and having that moment of like, oh, I should be doing this. Put your gym bag on the driver's seat of your car. So when you go to get into your car, literally right there, literally in your way, there's an immediate trigger for you to go, oh, this is a habit I'm trying to do. Let's actually follow through on doing it, because it becomes literally impossible to ignore. Whatever thing it is that you're trying to implement, find some way of making it impossible. If there's a supplement that you're wanting to keep taking consistently, put it in your shoe. So if you want to leave for work, if you want to leave the house for any reason, you literally can't without moving those supplements, and there's your reminder to actually take them. It may sound silly, it may sound kind of ridiculous where you put some of these things, but do it. Put the things in your way. If you're trying to drink more water in the mornings, literally put your water bottle right in front of the coffee machine so you have no choice but to pick it up and move it before you make your coffee. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to make the alternative kind of annoying. If there's something that you are trying to avoid doing or trying to do less, I want you to make it annoying. I want you to make it kind of unappealing for you to do so that it's actually harder for you to go back and keep doing that thing. So, some examples of this. Let's say you're trying to scroll on social media less. Log out of the apps. Fully log out of them so that if you want to go in there and you want to scroll through the apps, totally fine, but you have to go through the nonsense of logging back in. If you are trying to order takeout food less, delete the app. So you literally have to go through the effort of re-downloading it and re-logging in if you want to do it. Want to drink less alcohol? Don't keep it in your house. So you actually have to go through the effort of going and buying it if you want to consume it. It just adds that little tiny bit of annoyance that is just enough to break the cycle and have you rethinking what you're doing. Number 3, I want you to start the habit the night before. So this can look like things like laying your clothes out for the following day, putting your running shoes out if you're wanting to go and work out in the morning. If you're wanting to read a book the next morning, open it up to the page that you want to start on. If there's a healthy meal you want to cook for dinner tomorrow, prep all the ingredients ahead of time. Put all this little prep work in before the fact, so when it comes to you actually doing the thing, there's way less friction in your way. It's way easier for you to just, pick up where you left off the night before and actually follow through on doing the thing. Number 4 is I want you to shrink the habit into something so small, it's actually embarrassing. If it seems even a little bit too big, even just a tiny little smidge too big, it's too big. That's it. I want you to make it so small that it really honestly feels like you're not doing anything different. If you are trying to meditate for 5 minutes a day, shrink that right down. Shrink it down to something like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds of you just taking a few deep breaths. If you are trying to implement a routine of stretching every day, literally just start with touching your toes and have that be it. If it feels too small, you're probably on the right track. This is actually what I did to implement a stretching routine, because that was something I fucking sucked at following through on. I would never take the time to stretch properly, and I really wanted to make it a constant practice. And so I peeled it back. I made it really small. So instead of doing a full, 5-10 minute stretching routine, I literally will just go and at the very least grab a band when I'm at the gym and do like the arm, shoulder dislocate things. And if that's all I do, that's totally fine. It still contributes toward the habit, but it's small enough that I can actually follow through on it consistently. Number 5 is I want you to use the 2-minute autopilot rule. No matter what it is you're trying to do, chances are you can do 2 minutes of it friction-free or relatively friction-free. So let's say you are trying to do a better job of keeping on top of the house cleaning in your house. Set a 2-minute timer for yourself and just get done whatever you can get done, whether it's dishes or laundry or dusting, whatever. 2-minute timer, whatever you do in 2 minutes, that's it. That's all you got to do for today, and that's totally fine. It just creates this easy entry point where if you are feeling a lot of friction towards doing something, the barrier to entry seems much lower when you know that all you have to do is 2 minutes and that's it. Number 6 is I want you to create the when I also kind of pairing. So this kind of goes in line with like the habit stacking kind of thing that James Clear talks about in his book, Atomic Habits. When you are doing something that you already do on a regular basis, add something else to that routine to make it a little bit easier. For example, when I brush my teeth in the evening, I say one positive affirmation to myself in the mirror. Another way I've tried to do this actually goes back to the like stretching and mobility stuff that I've done a really bad job of following through on, is I'll start doing it whenever I'm running a bath now. So when I start running a bath, I'll take 30 seconds and just do a little bit of stretching beforehand because it's something that I was already doing. I was already running the bath. I was already going to have to wait for it to be full, so I already have this little gap of time to do something. Another way that I like to implement this in the mornings is before my morning coffee, I'll always drink a liter of water. And so I've started stacking other habits into that mix. So while I'm drinking my water, I also do my Japanese lessons on Duolingo because my fiance and I have been doing that for a little while, and I'll do my morning gratitude journal. So it was an easy way to just kind of slot these things in on top of something I was already doing. Piggybacking them together makes it a lot easier for you to follow through, and it makes it a lot more automatic because your brain starts to associate those two things together. So when you do the first one that you were going to do anyways, your brain starts to push you to do the second. It becomes a little bit easier for you to implement it regularly. Number 7 is I want you to let your space tell you what to do. So set up your environment in a way that makes it easier for you to do your habits. If you're trying to do more yoga, put the yoga mat out in the room. If you're trying to practice the guitar more regularly, put it on a stand somewhere that's very obvious for you to see. If you're trying to work out a little bit more, set the dumbbells right beside your bed. Make it really, really easy. Create an environment that caters to you following through on your habits. Number 8, lower the fidelity. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself for your habits to look perfect. Instead of doing a full hour-long workout, allow yourself to just do a 5-minute thing on YouTube. Instead of reading an entire chapter of a book, allow yourself to read one page or one paragraph. It doesn't have to be so major. It doesn't have to be so high stakes. Lower the pressure a little bit and allow yourself to just do a small amount and have that be okay. You putting so much pressure on yourself to do the whole 9 yards anytime you approach a habit makes the barrier to entry too high. It's too much work, and it creates a situation where you never want to start it in the first place. Number 9 is build the default yes. So anything that you can do to automate your habits, I want you to put into place. So this could look like setting recurring reminders on your phone to do certain things. This could look like having a set grocery list that you never delete. You just kind of keep on your phone. So every time you go to restock on groceries, you have this kind of preset list that you don't have to create every single time. It is just kind of your default, I'm going to get these things no matter what. If there are supplements that you're trying to take, it may look like you setting up recurring deliveries for them to be sent to your house every month so that you never actually run out. Doing this eliminates a little bit of decision fatigue, and again, will lower that barrier to entry because there's not as much friction for you to get through in order for you to do the thing. Parts of it have already been made automatic. Number 10, and this could go kind of hand in hand with the when I also kind of paradigm, but habit clustering. Taking habits that kind of pair well together and clustering them into a chunk. And so what can this look like? This could look like maybe your nighttime routine. You could combine a few habits of dimming the lights, doing a skincare routine, and doing a gratitude practice. Or in the morning, putting on some music, doing some light stretching, and then maybe journaling, or maybe doing those things outside. Like just clustering together things that fit a similar vibe, so you can kind of turn it into a whole routine. It feels a lot more natural when you do it this way, and less like you are just forcing things into your day where they don't necessarily fit nicely. Make it a whole nice routine and cluster them together when it works. Number 11 is I want you to give yourself micro rewards, but make it weirdly specific. For example, if you have a favorite type of tea, only drink that tea when you're journaling. If you have a playlist of your favorite music, only listen to that playlist when you are out for a walk or at the gym. If you have a favorite set of kind of chill, wind down nighttime clothes or pajamas, if you have a favorite comfy set that you like to wear, only wear it when you're doing your nighttime stretching, or only wear it when you're reading your book in the evening. Add just kind of that little micro reward that you will start to associate with the habit. So if you want to do this thing that you really like, your brain automatically starts to default to you doing that habit as well. And number 12 is kind of the flip side to this. Add a micro cost for you skipping your habit. And so this could look like something like maybe you have a jar that you have to put $1 in every time you skip your habit, or you have an agreement with a friend of yours that anytime you skip the habit you're trying to do, you have to text them and tell them. And it just creates this tiny little bit of punishment and this tiny little bit of cost to you not doing the thing. And in a lot of cases, it's probably just enough discomfort that it'll push you to do the habit. Number 13 is I want you to set a minimum and a maximum for your habits. I think a lot of the times you'll probably hear other people, I know I've talked about it in this episode, even just setting kind of a minimum limit for what you do with your habits. So when we do kind of break them down into something really, really small, making it way more accessible and way more easier to enter. But it's also helpful to have a maximum so that you don't burn yourself out and you don't just keep going and going. Because I have been in that situation as well, where sometimes with things like going to the gym, I've made the barrier to entry really low, where it's just I have to show up and walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes, and then whatever I do after that is fine. But sometimes I'll end up pushing myself to just do more and more and more, and it's hard to find a concrete end goal. So set yourself a maximum as well, so you do have a place to stop and you're not just going to keep pushing it and pushing it. Because if you are the kind of person like me who will kind of push it way too far when they don't have a kind of clear-cut end goal, you're going to burn yourself out and you're going to make the habit no fun to stick to, and it's going to feel way too high stakes for you to follow through consistently. So minimum and maximum. If you're trying to do push-ups every day, the minimum is 1, the maximum could be 10. Something just simple as that. Just create some guidelines for yourself. Number 14, make it social, but passively. And what I mean by this is you don't have to communicate with a ton of people. You don't have to talk to a bunch of people about what you're doing, but something as simple as taking your laptop and doing some work next to someone else who's also doing something productive, or having a coffee shop that you go to on a regular basis whenever you're trying to get stuff done. Just having that environment of other people working on similar things or being productive in some sort of way can help feed that energy and feed that momentum to make you want to keep doing it. Number 15, give the habit an identity or a name. So instead of saying something like, I run, you could say, I am a morning mover. Or instead of I read, I'm a 1 page a day kind of person. Make it part of your identity that you show up and do these things, because when you kind of ingrain it as part of your identity, your brain attaches onto that and says, okay, well, let me seek out some proof to say that I am that kind of person. And you calling yourself something like a 1 page a day person, low barrier to entry. And so when your brain wants to solidify that narrative and say, oh, I am a 1 page a day person, all I have to do to back that up is read 1 page a day. Easy, done, let's do it. Create some sort of simple identity around the habits that you're trying to do. Number 16 is use habit trailers. And so what I mean by this is take something that you find really pleasant and really enjoyable, and have that kind of be the pre-show to you doing your habit. So again, back to my stretching and mobility example. After having a shower, do 30 seconds of mobility. So after something that you find really kind of pleasant and relaxing, do this habit. After relaxing and having your morning coffee, write a couple of sentences in your journal. Just tack it onto something that you already find enjoyable, because you're going to do that enjoyable thing anyways. And then you start to create more positive associations with the habit itself because you've tacked it onto this thing that you already find really enjoyable. Number 17 is stop tracking streaks and start tracking restarts. Because what is going to matter a whole lot more than you having this big long streak with your habits is your ability to pick it back up when you drop it. Because we all at some point inevitably are going to drop our habits at some point or another. the real magic is in you being able to pick it up and keep going. And I have struggled with this in the past where I've had tons of habit trackers. I've had tons of things on my phone that I kind of keep track of day to day. And my whole goal has been maintaining the streak. And I've been so focused on maintaining the streak. And so when I do break the streak for some reason, it's really hard to keep going. It's really hard to restart because it feels like I've done all of this work for nothing. Whereas if I was more focused on tracking the actual restarts as opposed to the streaks, it's easier for me to keep going. And this is something I've tried to be more mindful of for myself, especially with the habit of alcohol consumption. So I do drink alcohol. It isn't something I've tried to cut out completely, but I have tried to cut back on my consumption over the last couple of years. And so I keep a tracker on my phone, and I will kind of put in a tally of any days that I do drink alcohol and any days that I don't. And I think it was a couple of years ago when I had started doing this, I had a really long streak going at one point, and I was really proud of this streak, and I really liked the streak, and I really wanted to keep the streak. And then I ended up breaking it at one point, and it felt like everything was just for nothing because my streak was gone, and what was the point? And I remember for a while after that kind of just really overdoing it with the alcohol consumption and really just kind of falling back in the other direction because it felt like, well, what's the point? My streak's gone. And having more of a focus on the restarts back then would have been a lot more beneficial for me because it would have been easier for me to pick myself back up and keep going. So count the restarts, don't count the streak. Number 18, find small ways to make your habits more fun. If you are trying to floss more, use the little floss sticks. Make it a little bit more fun for you to do. If you want to journal more, buy a really cute pen that you love. If you want to eat healthy, put the good stuff at eye level where it's really easy for you to grab and reach. If you're trying to go and work out more, get a really cute workout set that you feel really good in. Add some little elements of fun to your habits so that it feels like this really enjoyable thing for you to follow through on. Number 19, switch up your environment. Sometimes habits can thrive a lot better when you change your environment a little bit and give yourself kind of a designated space to do that thing. So if you are trying to meditate or journal, maybe go out on a balcony or go sit out in your yard or go sit in a different room that you would never normally do it in. If you're trying to read more often, do it in a specific chair. If you're trying to work out more often, create a little corner of your house where you can do that and have that be the designated space. Having a specific location designated to your habit creates those mental cues. So when you put yourself in that physical environment, your brain starts to say, oh, okay, this is where we do this thing. Let's do this thing. And again, just reduces a little bit of that friction. And number 20 is I want you to build a bare minimum day. Life is hard sometimes. We are all going to have a lot of things on our plates, and there's going to be a lot of times where following through on our habits is not going to feel easy and is not going to feel doable. And so I want you to figure out on your hardest, most stressful, most demanding day, what is the bare minimum you can manage? Maybe it's reading one sentence in a book. Maybe it's doing one push-up. Maybe it's literally just touching your toes one time. Maybe it is just setting a 2-minute timer and doing a little bit of a cleanup of your house. Keep that in your back pocket so when you do have those really tough days or those really busy days or those days where it just feels really hard for you to follow through, allow yourself to just do the bare minimum. Doing that on those days keeps the chain going and keeps you in the identity of someone who is consistent and someone who is disciplined with their habits. And it makes it way easier for you to keep going because you haven't really broken the momentum at all. You've still shown up, you've still done something, just in a little bit of a different capacity. Okay? So that's what I got for you today. If you put all of these things into place for whatever habit you are trying to achieve, I can promise you it is going to be nearly impossible for you to not stick to it and for you to not stay consistent, okay? If there's a habit that you're trying to create that you are going to put any of these tools in place for, let me know. Let me know. Drop it in the comments and let me know what it is you're working on. I would love to see what it is you're working on right now, and I'll do the same. I'll pop it in the comments and things that I'm working on at the moment as well. And if you like this kind of advice, if you like kind of simple tips for elevating your life and elevating your mindset, hit that subscribe button. We do this twice a week, okay? Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll catch you next week. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. If you like the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, or share the show with a friend. Your support helps this show reach even more incredible people just like you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time at the Mindset Gym.